The stage was set for drama, and nobody expected LaTisha Scott to finally snap. At 45 years old, LaTisha has always been known for keeping her composure, biting her tongue, and choosing diplomacy over pettiness. But in the world of reality television and celebrity circles, there comes a moment when silence no longer works. That moment arrived, and when it did, LaTisha didn't just speak, she threw shade so sharp it cut right through the carefully polished image of Nell Fletcher. The gasp from onlookers was almost audible across the industry, because LaTisha rarely, if ever, chose to clap back. This time, however, she didn't. She did it with precision. From the outside, it looked like a friendship, or at least a cordial acquaintanceship. Both women had been photographed together at events, smiling politely, offering compliments that sometimes felt just a little too forced. For years, fans speculated about the underlying tension, but neither LaTisha nor Nell gave them the satisfaction of confirmation. Instead, they carried on as if nothing was wrong, until now, when the curtain was pulled back just enough to reveal the cracks everyone suspected were there all along. LaTisha's patience, it seems, had finally run out. The shade wasn't loud, it wasn't messy, but it was undeniable, delivered with the elegance of a woman who had waited decades to sharpen her words. LaTisha's comment landed like a perfectly aimed dart, and the world of fans, followers, and observers collectively gasped. What could have pushed her to finally break her silence at 45? What history existed between LaTisha Scott and Nell Fletcher that made this moment so explosive? The deeper you dig, the more you realize this wasn't just shade, which years of unresolved tension bubbling to the surface. To understand the weight of this shade, you have to go back. LaTisha has always been positioned as the grounded one, the builder, the woman who valued family and stability even while surrounded by chaos. Nell Fletcher, on the other hand, has always thrived in the spotlight, leaning into glamour, attention, and the art of the subtle jab. For years, whispers suggested that Nell had made digs at LaTisha's personal life, her marriage, even her role as a mother. And while LaTisha kept quiet publicly, those closest to her knew she felt every sting. It wasn't that she couldn't respond, it was that she chose not to. Until now. The most painful moments came when Nell seemed to undermine LaTisha in spaces where she should have felt supported. Small remarks during group gatherings, sly expressions, that carried more weight than words, and the ever-present question of whether Nell respected her at all. For LaTisha, it wasn't about insecurity, it was about dignity. How long could she allow herself to be disrespected before she finally stood up? Each time she swallowed her pride, the pressure inside her grew. And at 45, she realized she had swallowed enough. And so, when LaTisha threw shade, it wasn't reckless, it was precise. She waited until the perfect opportunity, when all eyes were on her, and let the words slip with a smile that said everything she didn't need to. The jab wasn't about screaming or insulting. It was about exposing the truth. And when she did, Nell Fletcher had no comeback ready. For the first time, Nell seemed caught off guard, and LaTisha Scott stood taller than ever. The shade itself carried layers. On the surface, it sounded like a playful dig, but if you listened closely, you realized LaTisha was addressing years of tension, years of being underestimated, and years of holding her tongue. She mentioned success, loyalty, and integrity in a way that highlighted her own while subtly pointing to Nell's shortcomings. It was the kind of shade that didn't need to name names, everyone already knew exactly who she meant. And when the crowd reacted, the weight of truth settled heavy in the air. The reaction was immediate. Fans erupted, dissecting every word, every pause, every flicker of expression on LaTisha's face. Some applauded her for finally speaking her truth, while others wondered if this was the beginning of an even bigger feud. Nell's silence afterward only added fuel to the fire. Was she plotting her response? Or had LaTisha struck a nerve so deep that even Nell knew better than to fire back right away? The suspense grew with every passing day, as observers braced themselves for the inevitable fallout. For LaTisha, the moment was more than drama with liberation. At 45, she had nothing to prove to anyone, and yet, she knew the power of reclaiming her voice. Too often, women are told to stay quiet, to avoid conflict, to let things go. But LaTisha showed that there's strength in speaking up, especially when the timing is right. She didn't just throw shade. She reminded everyone that she's no one's target, no one's doormat, and no one's silent observer. And the way she carried herself afterward with calm assurance proved she wasn't looking for attention. She was claiming respect. The fallout between LaTisha and Nell may just be beginning. People close to the situation insist this wasn't a one-off. They say years of competition, jealousy, and subtle digs have been brewing. Nell, known for her sharp tongue, is unlikely to let LaTisha have the last word. And when she does respond, it could ignite a back and forth unlike anything we've seen before. The thought of Nell, carefully drafting her clapback, already has fans buzzing with anticipation. But here's the twist, maybe LaTisha wanted exactly that. Maybe her shade wasn't just an emotional release but a calculated move, a way to shift the balance of power. For so long, Nell had been the one delivering sly comments without consequence. By throwing shade now, LaTisha flipped the script. She put Nell on the defensive, forcing her to react instead of control the narrative. And in the world of public image, control is everything. As fans replay the moment again and again, they see more than just shade, they see evolution. They see a woman who grew tired of swallowing her pride, tired of letting someone else take shots without ever firing back. LaTisha Scott, at 45, showed that timing is everything. And when the time is right, even the quietest person can deliver the loudest blow. Her words weren't just shade, they were a declaration that she would no longer be overlooked. But this story isn't finished. The silence from Nell Fletcher is deafening, and in that silence lies suspense. Will she clap back, with a shade of her own? Will she brush it off with a laugh, pretending it didn't matter? Or will she finally acknowledge the tension everyone has felt for years? Whatever her choice, one thing is certain, LaTisha has changed the dynamic forever. No matter how Nell responds, the balance of power between them has shifted. For those who doubted her, this was proof that LaTisha Scott is not to be underestimated. Shade may have been the weapon, but strength was the message. She let everyone know that respect is non-negotiable, and at 45, she's no longer willing to let anyone take hers away. She didn't just defend herself, she inspired countless others, watching to realize that it's never too late to demand the respect you deserve. As fans replay the moment again and again, they see more than just shade, they see evolution. They see a woman who grew tired of swallowing her pride, tired of letting someone else take shots without ever firing back. LaTisha Scott, at 45, showed that timing is everything. And when the time is right, even the quietest person can deliver the loudest blow. Her words weren't just shade, they were a declaration that she would no longer be overlooked. But this story isn't finished. The silence from Nell Fletcher is deafening, and in that silence lies suspense. Will she clap back, with a shade of her own? Will she brush it off with a laugh, pretending it didn't matter? Or will she finally acknowledge the tension everyone has felt for years? Whatever her choice, one thing is certain, LaTisha has changed the dynamic forever. No matter how Nell responds, the balance of power between them has shifted. For those who doubted her, this was proof that LaTisha Scott is not to be underestimated. Shade may have been the weapon, but strength was the message. She let everyone know that respect is non-negotiable, and at 45, she's no longer willing to let anyone take hers away. She didn't just defend herself, she inspired countless others watching to realize that it's never too late to demand the respect you deserve. So now we wait. We wait for Nell's move, for the next twist in this unfolding rivalry. We wait to see whether this was the spark that lights a firestorm, or the closing statement in a long silent battle. But one thing is undeniable, LaTisha's shade landed. And it landed hard. In one moment, she went from silent observer to power player. And the world is watching what happens next. If you felt that shade hit just as sharply as the fans did, make sure to like this video, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more deep dives into the drama behind the headlines. Because if this showdown has taught us anything, it's that age doesn't dull the fire, it sharpens it. And when LaTisha Scott finally speaks, the world listens, wondering whose turn it is to face the truth next.